Hello and welcome to GM Tips. GM Rick here, or Rick M, the GM on Twitter if you want to know. And I'll describe it and capitalize the things at the end so you know and can subscribe there. Sorry for so long of an absence, but I'm looking forward to getting back in and doing more collaborative GM tips as well as regular ones. What's today's topic? Today's topic is using words and descriptive language to bring your campaign to life. I think that is a very important aspect of being a DM, a dungeon master, or a game master, is how do you describe things in session? What words do you use? How many words do you use? The whole like. Because I believe you can make the campaign very verbose if you want to, which is too much, too many words, too much language, you doing most of the talking. Or you can really use too little words, or you can be too mechanical in doing that. And how do we get mechanical? So let's address, first of all, being too mechanical. This is a module, okay? Or you can get an adventure path, or you can get a large module or a mega dungeon, whatever it may be. It's pre-printed, right? So in the pre-print, you will see, so look at A6 here. You'll see a description, okay? And I'll bring it right in so you can see it. Descriptions are things that are provided by the writers of those modules to describe a situation to your characters. When we start out, as you'll find as a dungeon master or a GM, our tendencies and our nature is to read things verbatim from what's written in the module. Not pre-read it, not pre-prepare, and just read it verbatim and get it over with. Because we're so nervous, or we're new to this, and we really, really don't take the time to know it. And that's okay. In the beginning, it is kind of like that. You got to have sort of crutches and props to get you going. But if you learn this technique early in your DMing or GMing, I use both because, again, strict D&Ders like the Dungeon Master term. I play a lot of different game systems, so I use Game Master. The thing that you can pick up and do is not just read things off the print. It gets to be very mechanical. Your players feel like, okay, yeah, that's great, lots of information, moving on. Bring it to life. Look at that description and bring it to life instead of being mechanical. Sometimes we even write our own notes and we're mechanical because we're nervous. I think so many times people think they have to be a public speaker to be a DM or a GM or a storyteller. And that's not exactly true. You don't have to be. Think about things that are going to evoke pictures in your players' minds. And that's my number one point. Evoking pictures in players' minds. Moving away from the mechanical. How do we do that? How do we evoke these pictures in our players' minds so that they will see something that they normally wouldn't? Word choice is real key in that. So, for instance, let's look at an example of this. The party has come upon a lich. The lich is facing the party. However, the lich is sitting upon a throne, pompous and arrogant, and looking down at the characters. How would you as a GM describe this? You could say, well, before you sits a lich. He's on the throne. He's pretty old. He has a lot of different magic items on him. His clothes are tattered and falling apart. What picture does that evoke? It evokes a base picture. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, the players know what they're facing. They know what they're up against. Here's my thought to you. Think about maybe a 5-6 sentence description that will really bring to life the Lich sitting on the throne. Here's an example. You enter the room. The room has a dank smell to it, a smell of moldering and decay and decrepitness. Sitting before you is an ominous figure. That figure looks at you with eyes that have lived thousands of years. A dusty voice creaks out, "You have entered my domain. What brings you here, party?" And a chill runs down your spine as you hear the ancient language accenting that he speaks. All you see before you is power and death. How is that different? Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer the first one that is kind of a descriptor, or the other one that just with a couple sentences you evoke not only a picture, but you evoke call to action, you evoke emotion, you evoke just a thing that drags you in? And there's my cat Sassy behind me. Always makes an appearance. You are evoking these images with word choice. Ominous, powerful, ancient, decrepit. These are words that when a player hears them, images start spinning in their mind. Really take the time to not just describe what the players see, but to launch into a whole pulling the player in process. And that comes with knowing your words and knowing how to describe a scene. You don't have to be this expert. You don't have to be this wordsmith. You don't have to be polished and perfect. But when your players see that you have taken the time to describe a situation in a way that really sucks them in, they're going to appreciate your campaign and what you're doing so much more. You don't have to be an expert. Some of you will say to me, "Okay, Rick, I hear you saying this, but how do I come off like you just did?" Take some time. Write out the words. Sound them out. Put a mirror in front of you and talk into the mirror and see what you see. See what it would evoke in you hearing this. And that's how you can get to your players and really reach them and show them something pretty powerful if you think about it. For me, it took time for me to learn how to do this. But in life, I learned that words are power. They really are. They can bring happiness, exhilaration, fear, heightened senses. Words can do so much. It's kind of like, you know how you watch a movie and the music evokes the scene? Well, you can provide music in there, but you are the narrator. You are bringing the scene to life, and you are bringing something to it. Sassy, please don't rub on my microphone. Ay. So, this is going to be fun. I can't avoid this. Sassy is sitting here on the arm of the chair, or wanting to, and wanting to get by. Sassy, I love you. Let go. Please. Sorry. The cat. I love my cats. I do. Sassy is my nervous Norvis. So you can use, and how you combine the words, you can really bring some power into it. Think about books you read, and when you read them, how the authors really evoke pictures in these books that just blow your mind. They sit there and they ponder over these words to see what can they evoke in the reader. You as the DM and GM are doing the same thing for your players. You're evoking. You're bringing to life these emotions. Again, you can't control necessarily the emotions they feel, but you can evoke emotion. And when you evoke emotion, you invoke investment by the player into what you are doing. So, as you mature, I'm going to give you a challenge right now, DMs and GMs. Take out a pad, paper, take out some things, because I'm going to give you some challenges here that will help you. Jot down, find 15 descriptive words that are unique and yet describe a situation in a powerful way from just that word. Okay? So, what kind of words am I looking at? Oblique, ominous, um, sanctimonious, like somebody who basically sits above people and looks down religiously, they are sanctimonious. Um, Words like that, and I know I'm blanking on some of the words. Um, there are so many words that just with a single word can say a multitude of words. And those are the kind of words you're going to want to do. Don't get outrageous with it. Just sprinkle a few of these words into your descriptions and see how much different your campaign will go. Number 2, don't be verbose. That's one of those words that I could have you put down. What is verbose? It's too much vocal. You are basically doing too much to describe the situation. Don't do that. Do not do that. You don't need to be wordy. And sometimes when we get nervous, we get wordy. We really want to make sure we get the point across, but we do too much. Less is more. It's a good thing to write down. Less is more. So, players come up to a bridge crossing a chasm. I'm going to give you 2 descriptions. One is very verbose, the first one. The second one is still as impactful, if not more, without the words. You come up to this ancient bridge. You can see the architecture says it's about 5,000 years ago. Little carvings are carved across it, and it is written in a language that you no longer understand because it's so old. The bridge spans the whole way with parts of it missing. There are pockmarks all across the bridge showing that it is weathered with time. The bridge calls to you and beckons to cross the yawning chasm. It goes a long distance, and in the distance you can see a little bit of the outline of the far bank. There are dead trees among it. And you see where I'm going with this. Lots of description. How could I do that with less words? The ancient arched bridge spans the chasm, worn with age and time. There are parts missing, and yet you see in the distance the decrepit looking area with dead trees and silence looming before you. You didn't have to go into so description. I know sometimes we want to describe it so much, the object, the bridge, that we just pull the characters in there going, wow, that's a cool bridge. No. What's more important? The setting of the scene. I set the scene with about 3 sentences when the other way I use probably, over 200 words to try to describe it. You're not writing a novella. You're not writing a novel. You want to get a description across. You want to impact the players. You want to draw their attention so that they can go forward. But you don't want to be wordy. So look at ways to condense things that still impact your players, but it's not too much. We love to be poets sometimes. Speaking as DMs and GMs, it's a habit. We love what we do. Shoot us. I do love being a DM and a GM. I enjoy it very much. But I've learned it's not about me. It's not about my words. It's not about me narrating a 2,000 word page in a story. It's about the players and what they do. And you use the words right, you invoke them to action. You can't control the action necessarily. It's not fun to do that. Players don't like that. But you can call them to action. And that's a great thing as a GM or a DM. It is so impactful to do that. And you want to. Again, 4 to 6 sentence description, unless there are other things you need the players to see and understand to help them to comprehend the situation, or if there's more than one thing going on at once. Sometimes we need more words, but less is more. Especially if you're writing your own modules and you're writing your own things down on a homebrew campaign. Don't go too nuts on it. You want to describe, you're going down to the level of describing the armor, okay? Unless there's something about the armor that the players need to recognize, don't. Don't. They're wearing beautiful gold inlaid armor. Simple descriptive sentence. The armor they wear looks to be a family heirloom. Simple sentence. Instead of saying, the armor is from the third era of this world, there are intricate details carved into it, along with battle scenes and da-da. Players don't need that. They can look at it afterwards. They can ask you about it. Then you can share such details. But don't do it when they're heading into a situation. Too much. Way too much. You've lost them after the first 3 or 4 sentences anyways. They're already thinking about what they're going to do or how they're going to react. So just be careful. I know sometimes I do the same thing. I get wordy. Don't be. And it's okay to be silent. Now you can joke with them, talk with them, banter a little bit while they're figuring out what they want to do. But keep it simple. Third, picture words. You want to pick picture words. So look at adjectives and adverbs, things that evoke pictures around the main words, the noun and the verb. Those kind of things come in handy. So instead of describing something this way, okay, we got a helmet sitting in front of them on a pedestal. The helmet is silver inlaid. It has many different gems in it. They have rubies and sapphires and diamonds. And it has carvings in the Elysian language. And there's a beautiful strap that straps to your chin around it that's made of leather with plush fur on it. Okay? The helmet is very valuable looking, encrusted with rare gems and ancient language. The helmet screams of value and opulence. Boom. You have now described it in less words, and yet you got your players salivating. Opulence? Gems? Ancient language? What does that scream to you if you're a player? Pick me up. Put me on. Put me in the bag and steal me. Walk away. It draws them to action, and you don't have to use a lot of words. Describe things in a way that invites action, invites interaction. You can do that. Describing an NPC. Here's a simple way to draw an NPC in. There's a half-orc barbarian, okay? Here's how I'm going to describe it in a way that'll suck the players in. Standing before you is a giant of a half-orc, one tooth gone and scars all over him. He smiles a wicked grin as he handles his club, slapping it in his hand. Your party's engaged. Scars, missing a tooth, battle worn. So they're already preparing and slapping that thing in his hands. They're ready to go. They are so ready to act. And you didn't have to say a lot, but you put a picture there, and they're already picturing this creature standing there going thunk, thunk, thunk. They're going to. You can make descriptions of the noises. He grunts, a positive grunt in your direction. He is ready to act. Boom. Right there. Right there. Drive the stake down. That's the thing. As a GM or DM, less. Let your players speak way more. I love my sessions. Now, you got to be careful of this because it can get out of hand. But when my players are going and talking and planning and trying to figure out what they're going to do in this situation, you've evoked and done the right thing. If they ask you questions, comment. If you feel like something might be helpful for them, comment a little bit in between. Hey, you might want to think about that a little bit because the situation looks pretty ominous. Okay, it gets them to think a different direction, maybe where they were going. It is the best part of the game when you have a GM that can describe a situation in enough detail, but not too much, to paint that picture and call you to action. And you notice I keep hitting on call you to action. There's a reason for that. Because that's the way what we're trying to do, whether it be having them verbally interact, whether it be them making a decision on something, whether it's verbal comments and a verbal thing. So say a noble is looking at your characters and you want to do a verbal sparring session with them to see who has the better hand. He looks upon you with disdain. Well, so you think I'm better. Well, excuse me, I made a mistake there. So you think you're better than me? I doubt it, you little pissant. Boom. Now the verbal sparring is going to begin. You just call the character a pissant. They're going to respond. How they respond, who knows? But you got them to respond. You did. They're ready to go. And it's all because of that. Don't be afraid to do gestures. Gestures speak. So you think you're better than me, do you? Well, we shall see, you little pissant. Uppity gestures, the setting, they're ready to go. They are so ready to go. It's a great thing when you learn to use words in a powerful way. Keep in mind, and I wanted to leave this to the end because this is important too. Words can build up or knock down. Words can help or hurt. You as a GM in a session with your players, when you want to interact with them and help them either to be better at what they do in their craft or to tone down actions or to maybe spend more time thinking about the campaign than they are their cell phone or whatever, you've got to be very careful with your words. Now people go, oh, well, now we got to be politically correct. That's not what I'm asking you to do. Okay? Politically correct gets bandied around. Prejudice gets bandied around. All kinds of other things get bandied around. We got to be very careful, folks, when we label something. All right? And this goes to players as well as GMs. Be very careful in how you act in the heat of passion, anger, hurt. You can diffuse a situation and make it better, or you can infuse it with more powder keg type of let's make it a powder keg by throwing more kegs of gunpowder on it, and the words being the gunpowder. You got to be very careful in how you deal with things. Great GMs and DMs learn how to diffuse bad situations. They do. They don't let their ego get involved. They don't let their feelings get hurt. Even if they do get hurt, they try to look beyond that and do things in such a manner that does not alienate players or alienate people. Instead of saying something like this, so say you got a situation where your players are not putting enough care into their characters and giving them enough dimensions. Well, you guys are just playing at hack slash or murder hobo or doing this. You're pissing me off. One way of saying something. How about this? Hey guys, I really like what you've done so far with your characters, but I think there's more you can do. I think you can dig deeper. I think you can give them more dimension and really bring better role play even than what you're doing right now. I think you can really turn this into an epic campaign by doing it. Will you take a few moments to sit with me and kind of go over your character a little bit? And let's see if we can get them past just being a hack slash bash crash. Maybe there's some things they could do that would really liven the situation, maybe catchphrases or other things. I really want to see you get the most out of your character. See how the two differences are there? Yes, okay, they're being a pain in the butt. But there's two ways you can handle it. Think about it. When you're in that situation, do you like to be called out? No one likes to be called out. No one. Even if they deserve it, they don't. Sometimes they disrupt to get attention. Sometimes they're disrupting because they're bored. Sometimes they're disrupting because there's something you're doing wrong. Sometimes they're disrupting just because it's what they've always done and, why not do a little more? It is our job to use our words not just to describe a campaign and to really enhance it that way, but also to build up the role play and the players. And that's on us, okay? That's on me. That's on you. It's on everybody else who's doing this. I know it's hard sometimes. It is. Your ego is in the game and what you built for the campaign. I know mine is. Look, I'm running the campaign Ruins of Aslan right now. My ego is invested because I've taken the time today, this is just today, to list out all the colonists for the colony and give a little blurb with each to help me as a GM to know how to play these couples. I've got everything from, and again, I don't ask you to subscribe to this as a GM, but I've got gay men together being married in this campaign and lesbian women and some others that kind of slant both directions. Again, I'm not building up sexuality in the campaign, but it's just making it real. It's bringing a real life situation in and kind of giving depth that there are same-sex couples, there are mixed-sex couples, there are ones that are little expanded families, and it's all part of this culture. But it fleshes it out for the players. And again, I base this on the orientations of my players and what they want to achieve and their goals. So I'm investing this time. So my ego is invested. So if it gets missed, what's my first thing? To be hurt. But that's not our job to be hurt. Our job as GMs and DMs, at the end of the day, is to make a campaign that people want to keep coming back for. That people, when they tune in and watch it, go, wow, that was fun and funny. Maybe I got to get these guys to put something on Twitch so we can watch them live. That's really what our job is. To make it accessible, to make it friendly, to make it fun, to make it something that people want to come back for more. That's our jobs. So when I say investing in these words, this is the thing. So homework to you. If you have problem players, identify those problem players. Pick the one or two people in your party that you go, oh my God, I can't take any more of this. Look at a positive, constructive way to address it, kind of like I did. and build up instead of tear down. Be conciliatory versus being confrontational. Look for the best interest of the player instead of the best interest of you as the GM or DM. Please take the time, because I really believe in my heart of hearts that you can make a huge difference and really continue to make this community a positive place. Leave the politics out of the session. I've done that before, where I started talking politics with my players. Not a great idea. We all believe differently. And it's real easy for somebody to say, oh, well, you, give a perfect example. Somebody likes Trump in the party. Oh, you like Trump. You're a frickin' MAGA moron. Stop it. People have their beliefs for a certain reason. As long as they're not hateful, as long as they're not prejudiced, as long as they're not trying to come in and hurt you, don't do it. Build up, not tear down. And again, that goes back to the words. It's not just the words in the campaign that create the pictures, but it's also how you handle your players in a campaign that also is creative. And look at words that are positive. Give them words that they got to go look up. So, all right, thanks for the GM tips. Hopefully we have another one here soon. Take care, guys.